Welcome to the Parenting Coach Podcast with Crystal. Over 7 years ago, I felt like I was stuck in this cycle of yelling and reactivity in my parenting that I did not want to be in, but I didn't know how to get out of. I knew how I wanted to parent pretty much exactly, and I'd spent hours reading books, but not finding a way to show up how I wanted to. That's when I started to turn inwards. My own inward journey was what my family needed. As I changed, everything around me changed. My kids' meltdowns decreased by 90% or more with no medications or therapy. I stopped yelling, sibling fighting became almost entirely non-existent, and I found that this change flowed into other areas of my life too. My intuition increased. I started to run my life and business in a very different way. If this sounds like something you want to, I can help. Join me each week as I share my journey, including the laughter, fun, hard times, and tears. Tune in for support, guidance, and fun conversations with my favorite experts, and really anything else that interests me too. Hello, my friends. I have some exciting announcements today. I also feel like this episode is kind of like a mini workshop. It's something that's been on my mind for a while, and I want to talk through and also share some ideas on what you can work on. And also, I'm going to have a link in the show notes here. If this is something you are more interested in learning about, I would love to talk to you more about it. And so you can sign up at the interest list there. And I'm considering getting a group together to speak all about our topic today. So first of all, to the announcement, you've heard me probably for a long time say that this podcast is winding down. We only have a few episodes left. We are ending on episode 20 of this season 10, a nice round number. Feeling really good about it. Some people have been like, "Oh, I didn't even know you were still podcasting," and I'm like, "Yep, I'm finishing it out. There's a few things I still have to say, and I want to make sure that I get them in before we're done." And a lot of people have asked if this podcast is staying up. And yes, we are going to still keep it on the platform so that you can listen in both on the website and on any of the podcast platforms you normally listen to. So that will always be available for you. I shouldn't say always, because I don't know if it always will be, but it will be for now. If you're new to this podcast, welcome. You can go back and start at the beginning, or you can go onto my website at coachcrystal.ca/blog, and you can type in a specific topic like shame or emotions, and you can see what comes up there, and you can listen to episodes by topic as well. So what I want to announce is that I have been really feeling drawn to create something different. I know that I still want to be able to voice my ideas into the world. And I've been so grateful for you all being here for my 200 and some odd episodes. It's been a lovely journey to be on. But I don't just want to leave you hanging either. And I also want to still share. I want to have a platform where I can be sharing the ideas that come to me, especially the really juicy ones, the ideas that might be very different, might be very mind-bending or very eye-opening. And they come to me regularly. Every week, there's something that happens either with my clients or with myself or in my journaling or in my meditation that really expands my mind. And I want a space to be able to share those mind-expanding things. So with all that being said, I am going to be launching a new podcast. I'm excited for it. It's going to be very different than what this has been. I will be having no guests. It's going to be short form content. I'll have it on video and audio. It's going to be small, little bite-sized every week, just the ideas that are coming to me, the thoughts that are coming to me, the work that I'm going through or that my clients are going through that I would love to share. So I will be sharing more about that in the coming episodes so that you can hop over there. It's going to be launching June 2nd. And so hopefully within the next episode or so, I'll be able to share a little bit more about that. But I'm really excited. So keep an eye out on that. And if you are a follower of mine on Instagram, also did a name change. So make sure that you head over there and see I'm no longer the.parenting.coach. I do speak about parenting, and I think I always will have that be part of what I talk about, but it's not going to be my main feature anymore. So you can head over there and find me at Crystal Noel. Okay. So on to today's topic. It is beyond wealth. Now, I want you to think about wealth, and I want you to first think about what words come to mind when you think about wealth. You can even jot them down. Do you think about money? Do you think about possessions? Do you think about the physical manifestation of wealth, what wealth looks like physically on the outside? Do you think about what wealth feels like energetically in your body? Do you think about time and having an abundance of time? Do you think about relationships and having abundant love and connection and intimacy and communication within your relationships? Do you think about experiences, being able to experience so many fun things? Do you think about adventure? Do you think about being able to be a generous giver, donating to causes that you care about? When I think about wealth, I think about all of this. I think about wealth as energy, and I see it as the same energy. In the work that I do now that I'm doing a lot more subconscious work with my clients versus conscious, they all feel the same. The energy of love, the energy of connection, the energy of abundance, the energy of wealth, the energy of expansive time. They all feel like this same wealth energy on the inside. That as we open ourselves up to receiving more in one area, we can receive more in another area. And they all feel like the same energy inside. And so what I want to teach about and talk about, and kind of the next thing that I kind of feel building and coming as far as my own progression and what I would like to mentor people in, is wealth and the accumulation of wealth being more than just in one aspect, being money, but also in relationships and also in time, also in creativity, that there's so many things that we can feel wealth in, having a healthy and strong body. There's a lot of ways that we can talk about wealth. And in my mind, it's an energy. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it today so that we can kind of give a little mini workshop. But if this is something you're interested in and you'd like to be in a mastermind that's more than a mastermind, that's so much more than just creating wealth, but creating wealth in every area of your life, then go head over to the interest list and let me know. And if we get enough people that feel like this is something that they're also interested in, we'll run a program and we'll all work through this together. Okay, so the first aspect of this I want to talk about is receiving. You've probably heard me talk a lot about masculine and feminine energy. Our goal is to eventually integrate both masculine and feminine energy in healthy ways. We can have kind of the wounded and unhealthy ways that we dig into it, and we can have the healthy ways. And in masculine energy, we have a lot of giving, a lot of serving, a lot of productivity, things that you can see on the outside. And in feminine energy, we have a lot of inward work. There is creativity, but it's creativity that doesn't necessarily have an end or a reason or a purpose, not something that you necessarily show anybody on the outside. It's more of receiving versus giving. And instead of it being so productive, it's not necessarily something you can see on the outside. It's something that you feel more on the inside. I think receiving is a huge part of creating more wealth. And again, wealth being multiple areas of our life. We have to be more open to receiving. I want you to do a little self-audit and think about the last time that somebody gave you a compliment. What did you say when they gave you that compliment? Did you kind of just like shrug it off and not let it land in your heart? Did you kind of say like, oh, this old thing, or, oh, thanks, it's not that big of a deal, or kind of ignore it or just move on to another topic because you felt uncomfortable receiving the gift that they were giving you? I want you to think about even physical gifts or somebody offering to pay for something, paying for your meal. Did you receive it? And not just receive it physically, right? Did you let them pay for your meal? Did you receive it within your heart? Did you receive the gift that they were giving you? Because really, they're giving you energy. They're giving you love. Did you allow yourself to open your heart to receive the feeling that they were giving you? I think that as we practice receiving more, we tell the universe, we tell God that we are ready to receive even more, that we're ready to receive as much as there is out there. But if I'm unwilling to receive love when my child gives me a hug, or receive compliments that somebody else is giving me, or receive money as somebody pays for something for me, I'm not really showing that I'm ready to receive more. And like I said, it's all the same energy. So if you want to create more physical wealth, allow yourself to receive wealth in all areas of your life, in every energetic pathway that it's coming in. Practice for a week. I just gave this recently to a client as their exercise for the week was like, can you receive every compliment that somebody gives you this week? And not just receive it physically, but open your heart to it, realizing that they're giving you that gift. Can you receive every little bit of love that your kids are trying to give you? Can you receive any amount of time that somebody wants to give you service, wants to do something for you, wants to pay for something for you? Can you receive that? And also notice any amount of discomfort that's there. And that takes us to the next kind of point I want to talk about, which is self-worth. When I learned all about manifestation, which I absolutely loved, I was in a program about manifestation for a year, and I did a lot of healing around past money beliefs that had been passed down to me that I didn't even realize were kind of there and impacting me. Super powerful work. But what I came to notice was what was really blocking me in my manifestation journey was self-worth. That we can only manifest to the level that we feel worthy to receive. So if I am still dealing with a lot of shame, it doesn't even have to be shame with money, but shame in any area of my life, and it's impacting how I view myself and my own self-identity, that's going to impact how much I am willing to receive. Right? Going back to point number one, that receiving part, if it's really uncomfortable for you to receive, there's probably something there, some amount of my worth and my enoughness getting kind of boiled up, churned up. And we want to dig into that because if we want to manifest more actual physical money / also things / also love and intimacy and connection in our relationships and all of that I talked about wealth is, if we want that, then we need to be open to receiving that. And our receptivity is blocked by our level of self-worth. So that's where the work is really. You want to manifest more. You don't feel like manifestation is working in your life. Self-worth is where to work. The next thing that I noticed when I was thinking about this concept or idea that I kind of wanted to teach and share was having energy, and not how it sounds. If you have not yet read the book The Having, I would encourage you to read that. It's awesome. But in The Having, they talk about this energy of having, which is like when you purchase something, are you feeling that it's more than gratitude. It's like that energy of like, I am able to purchase this and this feels good inside. And more than just in purchases, she talks about wealth in the book, but I think it's true for everything. Do I feel what I have? Do I feel the comfortable bed that I'm sitting on and my beautiful room and the sun shining on my face and the birds and the trees? Am I feeling the having of those things that the universe is so generous and abundantly providing for me? I believe in God. I believe in a creator. I believe in both a mother God and a father God. And I believe that the world and the universe is full of all of this abundance that is just so willing to give to us and that it's always abundant. Are we tapping into that having energy, that abundant energy? In the book, they also talk about green light and red light purchases, that sometimes we purchase even when it's a red light. We're feeling anxiety, we're feeling worry, we're not really sure if we should get it, but we get it anyways. Or something is a green light and then we feel anxiety or frustration about it or whatever, and then we don't buy it, even though it's something that it feels like a green light. And so to me, that feels like intuition. Like intuition comes to our body. No matter who you are, no matter what your human design is, intuition is going to come to some area of your body. You're going to feel it somewhere within the body. And so are we intuitively making purchases or not making purchases? Because sometimes we purchase something and we like kind of do it really quickly so we don't have to think about it, right? So are we doing red light, green light within our purchases? I also think there's a few other concepts that I kind of think go with this. And one is we are creators of our reality. If you have not yet read the book, As a Man Thinketh, that one is great. And it's like 100 years old, but he talks all about how it's not just our thoughts and our feelings that are creating our reality. It's our being. It's our energy. It's our soul. Everything is being created. If you feel like there's chaos in your life, there's like dysregulation, there's like incongruence in your life, that is also being created by something within you. It's not just random. And so how can we go and do the inner work first to kind of figure out what reality am I creating? And if I want a different reality, I have to start at the soul level. I have to figure out what my being is attracting to me. A couple other little pieces of this that I think are fun is recently we've been playing, I call it the budget game, but we gave ourselves a spending plan for the week. And when we have money left over, we kind of like won the game. Like we have money at the end of the week that we didn't spend, we kind of won the game. And it feels like it's kind of making it lighter and more fun. And I think a lot of times we put a lot of meaning, a lot of heaviness when it comes to our money. And that doesn't feel good to us. So what could we do to make it fun? Could we get a bunch of cash and just have it in random places in our house so that it reminds us that we have cash? Can we get a lot of cash out and leave it in our wallet so that we can like feel the having of it, feel the abundance of it? Can we get a bunch of cash and just like play around with it and throw it up in the air and like whatever we want to do so that we can feel good about it? Because I think that the more fun, the more simplicity, the more ease, the more we notice that how much we have, that is what brings in more. And so for me, the budget game kind of lands in that versus the more strict, fear-based or shame-based programs that are like, get rid of all of your debt. Debt is the worst. You have to do this, or very strict budgeting that makes it not fun because our thoughts create our reality. So even if we're going to get rid of our debt, we're still not going to feel good about money. We could have a whole bunch of money and still feel lack. We can have no money and feel abundance. When we were traveling, we went to Indonesia and we had a helper that lived in the villa with us. And he kind of lived in his own little space next to us and didn't have a bed, slept on the concrete floor with a yoga mat, was like the happiest person ever. And I remember at this one point, we were going to tip him for something and he wouldn't receive the tip. And he was just like, what do I need this for? And he like pointed outside to like share, like he was like, look at the mango tree, look at the lilikoi tree. Like I go fish for my food. Like I don't need anything. I have everything. And he was so happy and he was so full of life. And he really did have everything. And that's one of the points where I was like, I think we have it backwards. I think over here we're like, and by over here, I mean, in more of the Western world, I think at least in Western culture, I see it be very like work till you're dead. Like, let's just work as much as we possibly can to accumulate as much as we can. But what if we can have without having to put all of our energy and all of our time and all of our effort into constantly getting? It feels like that concept that I've explained before, the pretas, the hungry ghost of like this empty hole within that we're just constantly trying to fill, that we think we'll feel better if we get to a certain income level, but then we get to that income level and then we're like, it's not actually feeling better. Or we get to that income level and we feel good about our income, but then we don't feel like we have enough love or connection in our relationships. Like we're constantly striving, but not actually feeling. We're reaching for success and never feeling like we actually get to success. Instead of getting to success now, regardless of what we see around us, instead of, I think of it as like believing impossible things before we even see it, believing that something new is possible for me even before I see it. That's what manifestation is. That's what faith is. I love to do like impossible math, right? When I like sit down and I'm like, okay, well, these are all the logistical numbers of how I could pay, this debt off because we just finished renovating our house last year and it was a big renovation. And I remember looking at the numbers and feeling like, this doesn't make any sense. Like there's no way that these can work out. And I was pretty heavy for a day. And as I moved through that heavy energy, I moved into this like, but everything impossible has still happened. Like every time I look back, like impossible math has always happened. Like that has been the pattern, is impossible math where it isn't supposed to work out and it shouldn't and doesn't make sense and it's not logical, but then it does anyways. So can we just believe that the impossible is possible? Like that's actually the norm, that impossible things will happen and that will always be provided for. And I don't feel like just provided for, I think more than provided for. As I went back through my life to kind of rewrite my own wealth story, I realized that I've always been more than provided for. Okay. I also want to offer, one of my coach friends shared this with me, and she said, abundance includes lack. I think that sometimes we think in order to manifest something or to create more wealth, we have to believe all of the time, be at 100% belief, and that feels impossible. Like, how could I possibly believe 100%? And if I don't, then I'm like blocking myself from creating the thing that I'm trying to manifest, right? Have you ever felt that way? I've absolutely felt that way. But if abundance also includes my lack, like if it can be that duality of like, yes, I believe in this abundance. And like, I notice these lack thoughts coming up, this lack energy coming up. Instead of that being a problem, can I meet it? I think I might have shared this in a podcast episode before, but in Julie Bogart's Raising Critical Thinkers, she talks about encounters, and her description of encounters is meeting with an adversary. And that is now how I view my own inner work, is I'm meeting with the adversary. I'm meeting with the opposite inside my soul. I'm meeting with the lack thoughts. I'm meeting with the lack of self-worth thoughts. I'm meeting with the worry and the fear and the anxiety thoughts. And I'm meeting with that part of me. And I'm not just trying to pretend it away. I'm not trying to pretend it's not there or not, trying to make it feel better. I'm sitting with it. And as I sit with the feeling and the messages there, I create more insight. I am moved. I grow. I learn. Okay, there's so much that I have to say about this, but I love this idea of that I don't have to be in full belief all of the time in order for me to manifest. Does that not just feel so good? And also true. I don't have to believe all of the time. It's totally fine for me to be normal and to have these normal thoughts and worries and fears and still manifest what I want in life and still create more wealth. And wealth, again, being every area of my life, not just one. One more thing I want to talk about is attention versus intention. Um, Again, one of my coaching friends was explaining this garden that she was growing. And she said that they like planted it and then they kind of just like forgot about it, but they just like were like, it'll grow, like it'll be fine. And they like had so much good intention as they planted it, but they didn't give it a lot of attention. They just had good intentions for it. And she said at one point she went out and like her kids were like singing to the flowers and stuff. And anyways, like they all had this beautiful intention and idea and everybody loved it. And they also just believed it was going to go well, but it wasn't because they were constantly out there weeding or like watching the flowers to be like, wait, are they growing enough? Or like, oh, we need to do this with the vegetables. And I think that sometimes we kill our intentions with too much attention. I think we put an intention out there and we're like, oh, this is perfect. Like, this is what I want. But then we put so much attachment on it because we want it so much that we kill the thing. We're like, wait a second. Now I have to watch this plant grow all day. Now I have to make sure I water it and I weed it and I put all these nutrients in it. And like, what is it missing? And like, is it doing okay? And then it doesn't grow. And then it dies because we've given it way too much attention. But if we can just put our intention out there in the universe and be like, this is what I want. And I'm just throwing it out there. Like I'm just throwing seeds onto this random field. And I'm just believing that it's going to come back to me. And I just let it go. That feels so much better for me. So I started writing what I call a magic list. And my magic list is like all the magical things that I want to come to pass. So I'd like a new vehicle. I want it to be like newer. I want it to have a lot less kilometers, but I want to love it just as much as I love mine. I love mine so much. When I drive in it, I'm like, it has every feature that I didn't even know that I wanted that I love. And it's getting quite old and it's getting a lot of kilometers on it. But I just love it so much. And so I added this to my magic list. I was like, I don't know when I'm going to get it or how I'm going to get it, but like that is in the future. Like there will be something that I love just as much that's also newer and isn't going to break down as often because it's newer and it'll have a lot less kilometers. Or I have this idea that I think it would be so fun to take my whole family on a cruise. I think my kids would just love it. I think it would be a blast. I think it would be a great connecting experience for us. And so I put that on my magic list. Anything that you want. You can put in, it doesn't even have to be with like things that cost money. It can be a kind of relationship that you want. It can be something you want to manifest. For instance, I'm in the middle of, I auditioned for musical theater. I've never done this before. It was one of my scary things that I'm doing this year. If I haven't already mentioned this, I'm turning 40 this year and every single month I'm doing something that pushes me outside of my comfort zone. So the scarier, the better. And one month I decided to audition for our local musical theater program. They have a really great program and I was like really nervous for it. And I do sing and I have sung my whole life, but I've never done musical theater. So I went out, I had to go to this live audition. It was very scary and also super awesome and thrilling and exciting. And I just put that intention out there. I was like, I want to be in this musical. And I knew exactly the role that I wanted. As soon as I saw the musical, I was like, I love this musical. It's The Prince of Egypt. I love the music so much. And I knew that I wanted exactly the role. I wanted to be Moses's mom, the one in the beginning, his Hebrew mom. And I just love that music so much. And I think that if I had put so much attention into it, I'm going to practice all of the time. I'm going to think about it all of the time. Like, what can I do? Like, I think it would have killed it. I would have put too much attachment onto the thing. And I just thought, what's going to be so fun is like when I get this role, like when I get this role with putting the intention out there and not putting the attention on it. I'll have to share with you guys how it turns out because I don't know yet. I'm still in the middle of it. But I know that whatever is meant to work out will work out. And for me, that's intention versus attention. That I trust the universe, I trust God so much that I will be provided with exactly what I need. So even if it turns out in a way that I don't want to necessarily, that I wouldn't have picked, I know that there is something in that for me. There is a gift, there is a learning, there is an opportunity for me. And that also releases timelines of creating wealth or doubling my business or tripling my income or whatever. I can just allow things to happen in the timing that they are meant to and in the way that they are meant to, knowing that it is happening for me and that everything is turning out for my good. One of my favorite journaling prompts is, how is this for me? How is this for my good? Even really negative things. In fact, I had a really eye-opening journaling experience last week as I asked myself, how is this for my good? And I asked myself about judgment and self-judgment, blame and defensiveness, and mistakes, big mistakes, things that I feel really bad about in ways that I treated other people or ways that I showed up in the world that didn't feel good. And I wrote about how was that good for me and how was that good for the world? And it was mind bending because my brain wanted to be like, no good came from it. Like you should have just not done that. And the only good that have possibly could have come from it is that you realized that it wasn't good and that you didn't want to be that way. But there was actually a lot more. There was a lot more gifts in that for both me and for other people as I really allowed myself to dig into how was this for my good and for the good of others, even in things that seem kind of negative. So that can be a really interesting journaling opportunity as well. So going back to this concept of encounters is meeting with the adversary. I think of it as going into the depths, going into the heaviness, going into those difficult, heavy moments, like I was just explaining, those questions that don't really make sense, and meeting with them, meeting with those parts of me that are still feeling lack, that are still feeling worried, that are still anxious, that are still in unbelief, that are still like, I don't really know if this is actually going to work. Can that all be okay? What if life is duality? What if life is this giant paradox where we hold space for both? My personal experience with my evolution of my spirituality has been this. The depths of my spiritual insight and the groundedness I feel spiritually has come as I've included and expanded and allowed more paradox, more duality, more uncertainty, more not knowing what's going to happen, not knowing, instead of being in these boxes of like right or wrong and good and bad and everything has to be so clear cut. I don't feel that way about my spirituality anymore. And I feel so good about it. So open. It feels like a completely different space than I've ever been spiritually before. I feel like I've birthed and died and lived 1,000 lives in the last 5 years, especially when it comes to my spiritual expansion and journey. And I think that the same concepts are true in parenting and in wealth accumulation and in all the areas that I've looked into, that I don't have to just be here or there. I don't have to be all the way in belief or in unbelief, but I can hold space for both. And that's been a beautiful space to be. So that's all I have to say for you about Beyond Wealth. And if this is something that you would love to dig into, each of these concepts that I talked about today will be modules that we will dig into in depth, that we will work through every week. We will be hand in hand. We will have amazing calls where we are doing all of this work together. If this is something that you're also feeling called to, I would love to be a guide, and not a guide that's like, I'm way ahead of you, but a guide that's like here, walking hand in hand, doing exactly the same work of duality, of wealth, of non-attachment, of wealth. If you haven't listened to my episode on the art of non-attachment, go and listen to that one as well. But this is where I'm at. And if you want to join me, put your name on the little interest list at the link in the show notes, or send me an email at crystal@coachcrystal.ca and we will chat. And thanks for being here. Only a few episodes left and I will announce what's coming next right away. Have a great week. If you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, I would love for you to help spread the word by getting this message of support and guidance out to as many people as possible. So text it to your best friend or tag me on Instagram and share it. Leave a review, rate it, subscribe it, or follow on your favorite platform. Send me a DM on IG letting me know which parts have impacted you or what you'd like to see on future episodes. We'll see you next week.